Hi guys, and welcome back to Stacking Wisdom Podcast. It's brought to you by EFG Inc., social media marketing company. And today we're joined here with Cara. She's a seasoned entrepreneur, and that's one of the reasons why we thought it would be really, really interesting for us to bring her on. Tell us more about yourself, and this is going to be one of those first. You said you're going to interview us, so
yeah.
If we're going to flip the script here today.
So I don't know how much you looked into what I do, but so I'm the CEO and co-founder of The Content Company, and it's been around for about 5 years now. And originally it was started with my partner and husband, who is no longer my husband, but still works with me in the company, out of a need to have really high quality content. I worked in SEO companies and marketing agencies, and like a lot of stuff you can outsource overseas, no question.
Absolutely.
Development, all that kind of stuff, coding, all that. But when it came to writing, you can't. And so some of the time I would have, I was on the account side, so I was working with clients for their, for their small business.
Sure.
And content would come across my desk that I would have to deliver, and I just would not be pleased with the quality of it. And my husband was a copywriter, so I would say, try him out. He's incredible. No hard feelings if you don't want to use him, but really give him a try. He's really good. And they would try him, and of course he was incredible, and he would start working with that agency. And so for probably about 4 years, the equivalent to holding your finger to a shoulder and saying, I'm not touching you, is what he did to make me quit. He just quit. Come on, quit your job. And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking quitting. Like, I've had a couple of startups before that. This is probably, I think, my 5th business, and the first one that's really taken off.
Wow, okay.
But I just had no interest. Like, I wanted to get a paycheck. I wanted to know every 2 weeks what was happening. You can do your writing. I'm going to do this job. Just leave me alone.
Right.
And one day I was working the last job. I always say the last job I'll ever have.
The last job.
And it was for a company that was a client, actually. It was a complete departure from SEO and digital marketing. And I loved the job, but I was really not making.
How do you transition from the digital side, because it's kind of like all the future?
It was still sales.
Okay,
yeah,
enough,
and it was like a luxury furniture rental company for parties.
Okay.
So I got to go to like all the TIFF parties. It was amazing. But in the end, I was almost paying them to work because I spent a lot of time. But it was good. And one day I just kind of flipped out. I was like, why am I making all these other people money when I know I have a skill? I've got a product, aka my husband, that I can market. And I flipped out. I remember I wrote my resignation letter and my hand shook, because we had nothing. Like, I've got no parents. His mom passed away. A lot of his grandparents. There was no cushion of someone going to help us out if we can't make rent or whatever. And I was flipping out. But I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan and advocate, and there's something he says: if you don't, you have to burn your boats. He throws an F-bomb in there, but you have to burn your boats. And if you don't, if you always have a foot in a job or whatever, you're never actually going to pull the trigger and do it. And so I had to burn my boat, and I was like, my hands were shaking, and I pressed send. I was like, okay, that's it. And our bills were, say, like $5,000 a month, and we had only 3,000 we knew was coming in. And ask me how fucking fast I hustled. I hustled fast. So Ken would send me lists of SEO companies and people to call, and I would just dial for dollars. And we won some huge accounts in the beginning.
Amazing. And
the first year we did like small 5 figures, barely made it. And then the next year 6 figures, and then mid 6 figures and on. But it was terrifying. I
bet. No kidding. I mean, but, jumping, just
everything
head first, right?
Totally. And we have 4 children. Like, we have 4 kids between us, and 3 of them are adults now. But 5 years ago they weren't. And we had stuff we had to take care of.
No kidding.
But you get to this point where there's no other option anymore. Like, you just can't stomach going one more day. Like, I would drive down the 401 in my car, and I would call him daily and say, this is the day. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'm having a heart attack today. I'm flipping out. I'm about to lose my shit. And he's like, okay, you calm down. And I'd get to the office, and I'd be there till 7 working different accounts. Same thing on the way home. It was better on the way home because at least I was going home. But I'd get home, and it was dark. And so that's how we started. Was it
challenging, like balancing like your work life thing?
So crazy. I literally just posted Sarah Blakely, who is the first self-made female billionaire, youngest in the U.S. She created Spanx.
Right.
Just posted that no one ever asks a man that question.
Really?
Ever. No.
We ask everybody. That's
she says, I talk all over the entire planet, and like no one ever asks her husband, who's also a speaker, how he balances the work life. Like, and it's because we're the moms. Like, really, that's it, right? But back then, like, Ken has always been extremely supportive. Like, he was even now that we're no longer a couple, he's amazing. Like, he's very supportive of, you know, if I need to go on work trips or whatever, he's happy to hang out with the kids and whatever. But yeah, it's still a challenge to, it's not even so much balancing time, it's balancing your mind. Like, over the years, what I've learned is that, you know, I have a couple mentors that I talk to, and I said to one of them, like, do you ever just get to like, chill? And she's like, no. It doesn't matter if you're 7-figure, 8-figure company. There's always going to be something. And I had this idea that I would get to this destination and I could kind of just be like, okay, this is pretty cool. It doesn't exist. And I'm like, shit, I didn't know that. So yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act, I think, inside your mind more than anything else. Like, every day, and as women too, like, you know, and I talk a lot about this on my website, like I have a personal website, but balancing even hormones, like guys are kind of trained to think, oh, it's just you're PMSing, or it's a real thing. And there's a week out of every month you do not feel like yourself, no matter what you do. And I do a lot of stuff. I drink my green drinks. I do like all these different exercises. I meditate. Do
you find that like that actually helps you
during that week?
Yeah.
No. You want to be in bed eating junk food, watching Netflix, not talking to anybody.
Netflix and
doesn't matter if you're like Arlene Dickinson or me. That is and then when, you know, as older you get, it's a challenge even more because things are fluctuating. But and we as women, we don't get to I talk about it obviously because it's not something that we should shy away from because it's a real thing. Like, I always think, how many women have been who have fired people during PMS week, when a week later they're like, holy shit.
That would be an interesting statistic, but I think it might backfire too, because they might say, well, it's not really fair because there's equality of genders and all that stuff, right? So,
sure.
But it's actually it's interesting that you bring that up, because I think that it's one of those things that nobody really ever wants to discuss in business, right? Is the actual family relations and how, you know, how much more of a challenge it is maybe to some extent for women too, right?
Yeah.
Because of the issues that, you know,
just biologically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we can do way cooler shit than you guys. However, comes at a price. So yeah, that's how we got our start, and we're up to 30 writers now.
Amazing.
We only work with Canadian writers. They're all freelance, but we've got our full-time team as well, and it's, you know, this year I've kind of made some decisions to sort of go a bit more heart-centric in the company. I bought my ex out last April, and so things have changed for me in the last 2 years and just my development, and I really want to take things in a direction where it is more tree hugger and like just really push that through the company in a new way of bringing culture to it. Like, we have our culture and integrity, honesty, transparency, writer love. All of those things are key in our company. Sure. But I just want to up the ante and like.
In what sense? Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Well, I think, you know, what I've learned. Like I said, I go to Tony Robbins events. I've been doing that for a few years. I've started out, I went to Business Mastery in Vegas. And the interesting story about that was, so I did not used to like to fly. Hated flying. It's a control thing. I'm
it's
an
one of those
entrepreneur.
things with the business, though. Like with you,
right, like you're shit out of luck
exactly.
if you can't get it. But I made every effort to not get on a plane. So I don't even remember how I learned about Business Mastery, but I learned about it, and it was a $10,000 ticket, like after the conversion, because it was $9,000 US. Didn't have 10 grand to throw at that, but I had this compulsion that I knew if I went, something was going to happen, and it did. It shifted everything on how I think about things. But I mean, I went to great lengths. Like, I'm like, why don't we do a family trip? Let's do a road trip. We can take the kids to the Grand Canyon and go to like Disney. It'll be fantastic. Only so that I didn't have to fly. And I mean, entrepreneurs are resourceful.
Trains and automobiles, right?
Yeah. So in the end, my husband's like, dude, you need to fly. We're not going on a friggin' road trip just so that you can avoid a plane. So I went. And it was funny because I had dabbled in, like, I read a few of his books and I listened to some of his tapes along the way, but I didn't have any concept of what I was getting into. And I knew it was about 2,000 people there. I was like, all right. So I walk in, first of all, it's freezing because Tony keeps that shit cold so that you're nice and alert. And it's like 45 degrees in Vegas in the summer, but I'm like, what the? And someone told me bring warm clothes.
Yeah.
By the second day, I had my hotel blanket. Like I was freezing. But I walk in and people are like jumping and dancing. I'm like, what the fuck did I just sign up for? This is
this a cult?
Right. I'm like, I didn't pay 10 grand to freaking go to a rave. What is this shit? Within 2 songs, I'm jumping like an idiot. I was full in. But the interesting thing, and that's it, like, people do say, oh, it's a cult or whatever, but if it is, I'm happy to be part of it. Because really all that he's teaching is that you have a choice on how you do your life. Life is happening for you, not to you. And if you lead with your heart, you'll be right every time. But in that environment, I learned proximity is power, and that's a huge one. So who you're around matters, like on so many levels. And you know, you go through life and if you're a believer of that, you have to sort of edit at some point, right? Like you can still love all the people that you love, but are you going to take advice from the person, you know, who's not doing anything? Probably you shouldn't. And then you're an owner, not an operator. And that was a big one too, because I was always working in the business and not on the business. So yeah, it was.
Was it challenging to find sort of mentors when you started that business with your husband? Because obviously,
yeah,
because you're so involved in the actual, you know, sales process and, you know, getting those clients. How is it that you find time to actually find those mentors that can sort of guide you along?
Right. For a while, it's each other, right? And then it's just a matter of like sourcing and trying to find information. I joined, so that environment I'm really big part of. That provides a ton of mentorship. They're mostly entrepreneurs, even once you go to the personal stuff.
Sure.
But like I've joined different groups too. So like EO is another one. I was part of the EOA, which is the Entrepreneur Organization Accelerator.
Right.
And so that's like if you haven't hit a certain number, you go to this smaller group and they do monthly monthly masterminds. Masterminds are the way. Like I don't care if you're selling lemonade on the corner or if you're running a $10 million tech startup. Mastermind is the answer. Period. There's no other way. Have you ever read Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's everything in that book is masterminds. Not everything, but
he set the base sort of for a lot of
everything.
A lot of the structure, for sure.
Law of attraction, the secret, all that kind of goes back to him. So definitely masterminds was the way to go. And so early, like I mean, the first couple of years, no, we didn't. We just relied on each other, and I've always been the visionary, and he was more of the like worker bee, which is good. We needed that balance, but masterminds were the thing that saved me. And then eventually I got my own coach, and I go to the events and you learn a lot of stuff there. But it's, you know, I talk to a ton of young entrepreneurs. I do some coaching for them. If you're not, and here's what I'll say to to your listeners, if you're not willing to invest something into your personal development, you're dead in the water. I don't care if I had no money. I've been, backstory, I was taken from my parents when I was 15, put in a group home. I was paying rent in Hydro when I was 17. The government thought I was mature enough to put me in student housing, even though I wasn't 18 yet. I had a kid when I was 20, left that guy when I was 21, single mom for a few years, met my husband. My husband and I have lost a baby during the startup of our company, and I had a sales call the next day. This is no joke. You got to be in or don't even try. And part of being in is investing in yourself. And if that means it's $20 a month, that's what it means. But eventually you need to ante up. I tell people what I pay for coaching, and they're like, holy shit. And I'm like, holy shit, what? I'm here to go to the next level. I'm not here to stay small.
I think that's sort of the challenge that a lot of probably businesses face too, is because they don't continue to evolve, right? Because they
themselves, not even the business, but themselves personally.
Well, in business too, I think that's one of those key things, is that you need to continuously look for ways to improve yourself, right?
Yep.
And then not only I think that sort of reflects in the services that you can provide too, right? Because it can allow your company to be a step above everybody else, right? Yep. So that's in the business. So I think that's one of the things that's sort of needs to be addressed as well, is people need to know about this kind of stuff, right? It's important to have this knowledge that you continuously need to evolve, you need to grow as a person, and if you're not, then what's the likelihood that those customers are going to stay with you?
They're not.
Somebody else is going to come around that's going to do what you don't want to do. Exactly, right? So
yep. And there's a saying too, like if you're not growing, you're dying, and that's true for you personally, and that's true for the business. And so, I find a lot of, there's a challenge right now. Like, so what would you say sort of the demographic audience of your listeners?
So I think that's we're initially started to go after a lot of the followers of the people that we brought on.
Okay.
So I think that was sort of the scale. So it's kind of mixed. I think it's anywhere between maybe like mid-20s to probably maybe like late 40s.
Okay, well, that's a big range.
Yeah, so, but at the same time, we want to, present the voices of Canada and what it is today, because, Toronto itself is becoming like such a big central hub for a lot of IT world, and that in itself essentially means that business is coming here like crazy, right? And Canada has been at the forefront of just being like a leader in a lot of ways. For example, one of the things like banking, right? Like banking is considered one of the top things in Canada, right? That always makes us stand out, right? But that in itself, gives a lot of people sort of the assurance that a lot of business is very stable to some extent, right? So, and then IT is developing like crazy. So we figured, it's great to be in the area that we're based out of, because it's GTA, so that we can bring a lot of stories to the forefront, and the experiences that people have had to inspire people, just to give them the idea that you're not in it by yourself, but at the same time give the opportunity for the people that are involved in the Canadian business and what it is, right? So because I think that in itself can sort of be an interesting sort of starting point for a lot of business, maybe outside of Canada even, to learn and to adopt maybe some of the strategies that we use here, right? Because I think that there's always sort of a balance, because we've interviewed some people. For example, one of the episodes that's going to be on later on, hasn't been published yet, is we had this cleaning lady that she came from Africa. She immigrated to Montreal, and she lived there, and then she used to live on the streets, and she started her own business, and she's had a lot of personal trauma that she's gone through back in Africa when she was growing up, when she was a little girl, and she's just had nothing but challenges and struggles. And she just said one day, enough. She started her own cleaning company, and she's doing really great now in Toronto.
Amazing.
So, she's trying to empower those people that she used to live with in the shelters as well.
Yep.
And she's teaching. She's trying to instill a lot of those, the knowledge that she kind of came across to instill her son, and teach him along the way, and make him, the man that he can be. Essentially. So I think that it's really exciting to bring on people from all walks of life, right? For example, like we've had all kinds of people. We had business strategists, we've had marketing people, we had real estate people, we've had people for like a DJ, we had a personal chef. So we're trying to definitely go for a variety of stuff and not sort of make it boring. But at the same time, I think the one thing that really makes this podcast interesting is the personal story, right? So,
and every entrepreneur, almost everyone that I've ever talked to, none of us come from easy.
No,
and we become entrepreneurs because we come from hard. Like, that is reality. And I've yet to meet an entrepreneur who's like, yeah, that's really easy upbringing. And not that that's a criteria for being an entrepreneur, but most of us have come from a place where we've seen a problem, or I knew young that being in an alcoholic family, there's something wrong with that. I knew at a young age does not totally feel right. And so I made it so that I was kind of pushed out of my family, so I could kind of go do my own thing. But and then once we get to once I find a lot of entrepreneurs get wind of the fact that we have this choice in our mindset, that's when we start thinking, hey, I want to share this now. Like I was at the dog park on Sunday with two of my daughters. I have a new dog, and an old dog, but a new puppy. And there was two dogs, my dog and this other dog were playing, and this kid was there, his name's Jordan, he's 22, and he started chatting. And I said, well, what do you do? And he's like, oh, I have this job and I hate it. And my nature as who I am, I start to pull it out of him, and he's more than happy to share. And this kid followed me all around the dog park, and now I'm mentoring him. Now, so part of my give back is I take people to UPW, which is Unleash the Power Within, the Tony Robbins event, and I take them. I pay for the ticket, I pay for the flight, and I pay for the Airbnb. because it's that important for me to see people go to that one event where they go, holy shit, this doesn't have to be like this. Because you learn strategies on how to shift and change and all that kind of stuff.
And that's amazing of you to give back too, and to reflect back on what you said also. I think that from what we've seen from the interviews that we've had so far, it seems to be there, it's definitely the mindset. That's one of those things. But also what we've experienced too is that a lot of the people that we've interviewed that are, business people they've sort of either had the upbringing or they've kind of had that that struggle.
Something's happening.
So it's one of the two things that we've seen that's sort of the primary reason for why they got into the business in the first place. And but I think that a lot of people are limiting themselves definitely by always having that self-doubt, right?
100%.
But they're allowing that little voice to kind of continue playing in their mind, right? And not continuing to try to shut it down.
Right.
And I think that's sort of really the biggest challenge for a lot of people to start growing, beyond the scope.
I had it on the way here. That's the thing. Like you have to. It's like grief. You'll never be rid of it. You learn to walk alongside it.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's the same with the little voice in your head that's like, I don't know if you can. Do you really think you can pull this shit off? It's like you're trying to clamp it down with and then really, do you think you can pull this shit off? Really? I mean, and then but you have to get good at walking alongside it. And there's days that are going to be shit, and that's the thing. Like, why I asked you about your demographic is because a lot of the millennial generation and whatever the generation beyond that's called, I can't keep up anymore, but whatever the other one, the younger one is, they've how old are you?
I'm going to be 38 this year.
Okay, so you and I both were raised in non-social media environments.
Absolutely.
I would never want to, just watching kids have to go through it is stressful. But you think about what they're seeing, and they're seeing a complete bullshit, fake, not real, almost everything.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you're a 25-year-old, right? And you get into it thinking, I'm going to be like Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm going to do some viral stuff, and I'm going to blow up, I'm going to be a gajillionaire. Or it's a huge enterprise right now, and I think it's brilliant, and I love influencer marketing. However, you have to bust your ass to get any kind of notoriety. It does not happen overnight, even as fast as it can happen, but they have this false sense of speed. I'm 43. I've been doing some form of business for 23 years, probably. 20 years. My first business was an event company. Didn't do anything with it. I didn't know shit. And then I did another couple little marketing consulting. I didn't know anything, but I learned. As everyone, it's like a collection, right? Each business, I put something new in my bag of tools. And now at 43, even I have way more to learn, but I'm confident I could get any business to where I'm at. But I wouldn't have been able to do that at 23 watching Instagram. And there's room for it, don't get me wrong. But it's like this false sense of success and patience. You have no patience. How can you? Right? Because you don't see the 5 years this influencer spent traveling on their own dime first and taking pictures with their shitty camera first and just hoping that if they tagged a hotel in it, the hotel might be like, hey. So it's a totally different landscape, and everybody, anyone kind of in my age group will tell you patience. I got told, I took my car to get detailed in Ajax. I met the founder of GFL getting his car detailed in his Lambo. And I'm like, oh no, sorry, Ferrari. And of course I'm like, well, what did you do to get that car? And I knew, I'm like, you're an entrepreneur, right? He's like, yeah. And I said to him, here's my challenge with my business. I can take it a couple of different ways. And he flat out just said to me, patience. I was like, okay, thank you, sir. And I'm 5 years in, and I'm thinking, patience, what the fuck? But that's it. It takes time. And so that's another big thing. One thing I want to mention about you talk about banks, entrepreneurs, the banking system is really broken. Really broken.
Oh, that's not another question. I agree.
It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy because when you think about what we're funding, I bring in US dollars because all my clients are global, but I bring US dollars in, I'm paying Canadian writers, and I'm spending my money in Canada. And you think I could get anything I want from a bank? No, because they don't understand digital.
Of course.
So a couple, if you want, I can share a hack with you. That
absolutely.
So one of the companies that we started working with early on was called On Deck. and there's a few e-commerce things, but we do e-commerce, but we're not an e-commerce company.
Sure.
But they will look at your last 3 months of your statement and base lending on that.
Amazing.
Which makes complete sense.
You'd think so, yeah, exactly.
100%. They will interview and, get to know your business, but that's what they're looking at. They're not looking at what you did. Like banks will say, well, what about your notice of assessment from 2008? I'm like, what about it? What the fuck do you care about 2008? It's 2017. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But they can't wrap their head. And I've had bankers sit at my table and go, so you've increased your sales by 400%. I said, yeah. Uh-huh. But we don't really understand the business. And I'm like, listen. But so that's a hack. Like, it's called ondeck.ca. Brilliant. The rates are higher, no question. But they don't. Course, but if you need it to grow and you can turn that money and get a good ROI on it, it's a great solution. But just stuff like that, like we get, the traditional model of everything is pretty busted right now. Like even education, right? I mean, you think about the shit that kids are learning. They come out and like such a tiny percentage of them are going in the field that they studied. Like if you want to be a doctor or lawyer, engineer, all that, absolutely, you must go to university. Right. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you do not, sorry to any MBAs, you don't need an MBA. Because that shit's going to fuck you up anyway. You're going to get in and be like, well, I thought I knew. Nope.
It's never even the same thing. It's never.
Yeah.
No. It's like learning, like, it's like, if you're studying to be a soldier, it's like, let's study theory of how to kill a person, right?
Exactly.
And then when you go into battle, it's
nothing
just,
it's like
how the fuck do I deal with the stress, right?
100%.
And like, how do I deal with that? Like, it's...
Well, especially in the day and age, like with the internet, because I mean, for us, like we were learning on our own with our own startup how to do, like in our case, how to do like Facebook ads and how to write ad copy and stuff like that. Like the internet makes all this information available. And
and it's good information.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You'll still have
there's a lot of
don't
bad,
trust the internet.
There's a lot of bad stuff. You have to filter through it. Like
that's right. You have to be your own advocate. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
and on top of that, like it's about having the right connections too, because even from our own experience, like some of the potential clients that we met in the past, we've done so through this podcast and through like through our neighbor actually, just across the hallway here. Right. So yeah.
No, it's been interesting because I agree with you totally because I think I've experienced it myself because I was trying to get into a spa business a little while back, and we went to a bank. We had a huge down payment. We've had the business plan. Everything was in place. Everything was set up. We were ready to get this building, but the bank just didn't understand. They're like, we're giving you this much money, and they're like, well, what's your plan B? We're like, well, plan B is you guys take the business from us if something doesn't work out. That's not good enough. Right. And it's like, well, we already are giving you everything that we have, but yet you still don't want to continue with this. And we presented to them why it's going to succeed, right? Why it's going to be a successful business. We've presented them with numerous different strategies, worst case, best case scenarios, right? And still, it wasn't good enough, right? So I mean, I agree with you totally. I think that's the reason why I brought up banks in the first place was just to kind of set the stage for the fact that Canada is kind of a global leader in a sense, right? But I totally resonate with what you're saying with your business, that you constantly have to learn and evolve, and you have to just hustle and look for different life hacks and hacks for your business to survive, right? Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people overlook too is maybe the ease of doing business in Canada is so much easier than it is
your
most places outside of Canada. Like if you go somewhere in Africa, I mean, you have to pay under the table probably, like thousands and thousands of dollars to even get started, right? So whereas here we have so many opportunities. And going back to again what you were saying, about the younger generation, I think that in a sense maybe it's always kind of the older generation bashing the younger one because everything sort of changes and transforms.
FYI, those are his words.
But at the same time, I wasn't trying to put wasn't trying to put words in your mouth. I was actually going to reaffirm what you were saying before. Is I totally agree with what you're saying with younger generation, because it's something I was actually reading just yesterday. They said that humans. Span of attention is less than the goldfish. Yeah, exactly. So, which is absolutely insane because you're like, why? But at the same time, since you sort of know, right, working in the somewhat of a marketing spectrum too, and us, It's, you know, the fact that people are consistently bombarded with ads and information. It's like, I think we're looking at figures that I think they said something like 4,000 ads per day that you see that you don't even realize. Yeah. I mean, like, no wonder people are completely distracted. But, you know, this is a great tool, but at the same time, it can be a great distraction too.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's sort of the biggest issue, is that people are so absorbed with, you know, consuming instead of, you know, focusing on actual creation of your business or creation of content or creation of something, right?
Yeah,
so,
it's like the biggest form of FOMO out there, right?
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing too, as you were chatting, I just thought, one thing that's really important, I think, for an entrepreneur is to remember to stick to what your core is telling you to stick to. So like in our business, for example, I've had people along the way, won't name any names, but there have been people who have said, well, like, you know, if you outsource that writing to India, for example, you could pay like $2 a post. And we were very, very, very specific on how we started the company, that we will never use writers from overseas.
Right.
The quality, it's not good. That's it.
Yeah.
That's nothing against anyone. That's just how it is. And so over the years, I've had different business, quote unquote, business people who are like, yeah, but you could get margins. And I said, I don't like, and you have those moments of doubt where you're like, well, and then really, again, if you're following your heart and your instinct, you know, there's no way I'm going to ever move that direction. And anybody who comes to tell me that doesn't understand my business. And I'm okay with that. And so as an entrepreneur, being really,
I totally understand
like,
what you're saying. Yeah.
solid and commit to what your vision is. And you know when it's right. Like I know what we're doing is right. And I know I could make a ton more money if I did X, Y, and Z, but I wouldn't feel good about the company. And eventually that will show up. And so just being really, you know, getting still with yourself, like, because a lot of times, and back to the age thing, the problem is that it's easy to get, and again, attention span, right? Like, so let's say a kid 20-something-year-old starts a business, and 6 months in, they're like, it's not working, I'm not making, no shit, you're not making any
Patience,
money.
right?
Right? Yeah. But it's easy to get distracted, and it's easy to go, okay, well, this didn't work in 6 months, so I'm gonna go try this now. You have to learn to be still. Like, it just takes time. It doesn't matter how fast technology is moving. People are still people. And it takes time for people to see. And yes, we have Facebook ads and we have all this beautiful, you know, opportunities for advertising, but people are still people. We still take time to move. We still take time to take action. Might be faster, but there's still that moment where 6 months, if your business, like, we didn't turn profit until like recently. We were paying the, you know, writers and paying the bills and whatever, but like to think that even in year 2 you're going to make a profit, you're crazy. You might get lucky. There are the unicorns, but the reality
We've had one
is
on the show actually.
right, and that's those are the beautiful stories. But then those are the ones that people latch onto and go, well, maybe that'll be me, and maybe it will be. But you have to play the long game. Like, you have to understand that this is not a short, like, it's not 6 months. It's not a year. Even ranking on Google takes a year. Yep. Right? So like if you sit and you think my business is going to be successful in 6 months, you're crazy. And so patience, and then sticking to your guns. Like, when you know it's right, if I listen to every person, and Brene Brown's this brilliant researcher. She's I highly recommend anybody listening to go and listen and consume her content. But she references a poem by Teddy Roosevelt, and basically, I'll sum it up, but if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked with me, I don't want your fucking opinion up there in the cheap seats.
I love it.
I'm just not interested.
I love it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, if you hear those people that are out there 9 to 5s chirping at you, telling you, well, you know what, this isn't really going to work, you should tell them to shut the F up, carry on with their day job, you will figure your shit out. Because the thing about entrepreneurs, it's in our DNA. People don't realize that. I cannot work for someone else. Yeah. I have tried. And every single job I had, I thought, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I just be happy here? Why do I always have to see the holes? It's because it's in my DNA to be an entrepreneur. End of story. And the sooner you accept that, and it might be one business or another business, but as soon as you go, okay, this is who I am, man, does life get a lot easier. You don't feel like you're lost. But yeah, if you're not in the arena with me, zip it. Don't want to hear it.
It's always interesting for me to ask people and get their perspective. Do you think like entrepreneurship is something that you have to be born with? Does it have to be in your DNA, or is it something that you can also grow into?
No, I think it's in your DNA.
I think so as well.
Yeah, it's either in there or it's not. And I know I'm guilty of trying to like bring people in when they're like, because everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, right? Like, no shit, I can call my own. But once you get in it, they're like, well, that's maybe not.
That's when it filters out the real ones from the people.
You try
that
it for 5 minutes, or you try MLM, like multi-level marketing. That's like a good. Like in the crib where you put the little bumpers, they used to put the little. That's a good way to start to try to see if you're an entrepreneur. I find is like do some MLM, and if you don't have a tolerance for that, where you have some cushion, then you're not in. But the entrepreneur will start a new MLM company. They won't go and be a part of another one, which is fine. Like you need all kinds, but yeah, definitely I think you're born with it.
I think it's almost like that, going back to that little voice that's like, well, how am I going to do taxes? How am I going to do accounting? Right? It's all the little fears that sort of add up. That sort of detract you from actually just jumping head first, right? Yeah. Because it's like, well, how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to hire people? How am I going to deal with the different aspects of business? But I totally, going back to what you were saying with the structure of your business, I think that it totally makes sense because from even like doing our own like copywriting in-house, we've learned too that it's essential to get the message across in a proper way instead of just having somebody just throw some chunks of info together, which is not going to resonate with the consumer, right?
Because it won't
exactly, because it's important to actually have a clear message that resonates with that person, right? In order for them to even consider doing business with you, right? So that's one of those things that you kind of have to, stick to. And I think that Canada in itself is, it's very unique because it's not quite the States, it's not quite Europe, but it's like it's a whole world on its own, right? And our vocabulary is a little bit different because we're more British, but yet we're not really British at all, right? So it's like we're just such a unique country to begin with, right? So that in itself is just the area that we live in, and I think that it totally makes sense to use local businesses. But I think also going back to creating a business in the country and keeping it here too, and like even going back to what you were saying, how you're trying to give back to people that are interested in becoming a lot more involved in business, where you pay for their trip or you pay for their flight and whatnot, right? So how did you come to doing that sort of thing? Like what sort of made you motivated to kind of give back in a sense too?
So before I answer that, I'll just want to jump to the like when you're saying taxes and all, I hate doing all that shit. So when you're new and you can't afford to do contra. Just barter with people. Like I can write blogs, my team can write blogs for you, Mr. Accountant, if you do my accounting. So that's a really big way to, because a lot of I can't afford it. Bullshit. Figure out like there's a way. There's a way to get it done. Babysit for the accountant. Do whatever you need to do. If you need a logo, there's like so really being open to like that's the thing when you're an entrepreneur, you'll find a way, but sometimes it is like my oldest daughter, she has a cleaning company called the Clean Peeps. Nice. And she's just started, she was a personal trainer and she like did all this stuff and obviously having an entrepreneurial mother, she's like, okay, what do I and so eventually she landed on this, and you get overwhelmed by digging in the weeds of things, right? And you get focused on the minutia of it. And her and I, we do tons of coaching together, and I'm like, okay, let's just separate everything out, see what you need, put them in buckets, and then we'll figure it out. But she could go clean for an accountant, and then her accounting is done, and she doesn't have to worry about it. So beautiful. Always, we always have to be open to because see, there's that scarcity mindset. Well, I don't want to give away my service for free.
Exactly.
Big deal. It's your time. Big deal. Like you have to be willing to be abundant if you want to be abundant.
Absolutely.
Like that's it.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right?
So. And so segue into giving back. It's just, I think because of where I came from. Like I grew up in Winnipeg. We were a middle class family. Both my parents struggled with alcoholism, and I learned the hard way. And when I make jokes about never having another job, there's truth to it because I really did struggle for 20 years trying to work in places and was never happy. And I was always thinking, oh, it's me and what's wrong with me? And so it was just this idea as I started to learn about the fact that there was a different way to think about things. And so for me, giving back means I can, like the kid in the dog park, like this guy, if you'd seen his body language, his shoulders were slumped, and he's a good looking kid. And he's just like, his life, you could just see physiologically, he thought his life was shit. He's struggling financially. He's always worried about money. His girlfriend, they're trying to live together and all this stuff. When I left the dog park, I said to my daughter, Olivia, I was like, this is why I'm here. This is the purpose. Because every single time I get lost, I'll have an encounter like that, and I'm like, yep, that's it. Because I don't want to see these kids struggle. Because I did. Like, I felt like a bag of shit for long, especially female, right? Like, and I'm a single mom. Like, I'm doing everything backwards. Like, I didn't go to university. Like, I did everything backwards. And so for me, when I see anybody who is struggling in their life and who they think they don't have a choice, I feel like part of that mentorship, even like, because I do donate a lot of my time to mentoring people and having coaching sessions with them, but taking them even to these events, it's kind of like, I know that's going to snap them out of it. I know that there's something, if they get one thing out of it, they're going to come back to their life and be like, holy shit, I have a choice. So I just don't want people to suffer 20 years like I did. What's the point of that? Like, and you think about the entrepreneurs have a very high suicide rate compared to workers, worker bees, right?
That's another one of those things that nobody ever talks about.
Right. Like, you look at somebody like Kate Spade, one of the most famous designers of clothing and purses and accessories ever, leaving a 13-year-old daughter. Like, the impact that's going to have on that kid is really brutal. How many people have we lost because there's not been enough support for them? Like, how many 22-year-old Kate Spades are there right now, today, who have this incredible idea that are never going to see it to fruition because they don't know how to get around themselves? And those are the people, like, and so growing my company is giving me the ability to fund doing these things with people, and it'll get bigger as I grow. But like, for me, it's like, if I can talk to the Kate Spades, like, just to help them not have to deal with, like, it's such a brutal, heavy feeling when you know there's something better, but you have no fucking clue how to get there. And you struggle and struggle and struggle. And like, I'm lucky. I wasn't into drugs. I'm lucky I got out of that phase the way I did. But it's not always like that.
It's not the case for a lot of other people.
They get depressed, they suffer anxiety, all this other stuff. And I mean, I've had anxiety and all that crap along the way, but like, that's to me what it is. Like, that's what fuels me to give back. So if I can take people to an event that will help shape the rest of their lives, sign me up. I'm in. And that's that, because and that's it, right? Like, you need to have purpose. And I always tell entrepreneurs, don't chase the money. Chase what you're passionate about. The money will show up every single time. If you chase the money because you think you want a Lambo and you want to be like Ty Lopez, who I respect because the guy knows his shit, but like, they're looking at all these 40-something-year-olds who've been hustling for 20 years going, I'm going to do that this week. You're never going to get it. You might get money, you might get rich, you might make some, but you're never going to be fulfilled. And that's the problem, right? People get to this level, they think, okay, well, I've ticked all the boxes, I still feel like a bag of shit. It's because you have no purpose. You have to give back. And I volunteer at Tony Robbins events. I pay for everything. I pay to get there. We don't pay for our tickets, but my 18-year-old, she volunteered with me in March. Like, amazing. Giving back is the secret sauce. Gratitude is a huge thing I'm about, and giving back. Like, that's it. That's the trick.
Have you, like, what, with doing that, have you had anybody who's sort of gone on to do anything else with, with their own business or starting stuff? Yeah.
So I've just started to pay for people, but last year so basically I'll go to an event and then I come back and I can't shut up about it. And I've done other things, like Tony Robbins isn't my only mentor person that I listen to, but so I've gently convinced 4 of my other friends, and 2 of them are business owners and their businesses are thriving, and but them as human beings, like, and this is the thing. You don't go to one event and your life is like forever perfect. You have to continue the work, whether that's at home, getting a coach, blah, blah, blah. But like, even, so my 2 daughters, I paid for them in March. I have a 22-year-old and a 31-year-old. And the shift in them is just unbelievable. Like, it's incredible, and they're going to do huge things. Now, you get scared because you come home and you're like, okay, now what? So you have to keep working at it. But yeah, in the next year, like 2020, I want to take 20 people, and so through my mastermind group, I'm going to fund these extra people and want to be entrepreneurs. That's kind of where I'm going to focus. So it's not just going to be like a handout and here you go on I want to know, I want to interview them and say, like, what's your passion? What are you into? And make sure that they're not just somebody, but you can't, the reality is you can't go and come back unchanged. Like, even the most cynical asshole, if they go, they're going to come out of there going, oh my God. Because I've seen it. As a volunteer, right? You watch. Some people are like, day one, they've got their arms crossed.
It's like, what is this shit? Why am I here?
This is bullshit. Because I didn't sign up for no rave. And then by like the middle of this thing, they're jumping and they're crying. And I mean, literally, I've gone up to men and I've said, well, like, this is the most incredible experience of my life. Thank you for supporting me. It's beautiful. So yeah, we'll see. Like, stay tuned because it's new for me, right? Like I said, I've sent a couple people this year. I've got 2, and this is the interesting part. When you start to evolve as yourself and start to come into like these new mindsets and leading with your heart and not thinking with your head as much, because the ego will kill you. That's it, right?
It's true.
So what happens is you start to notice the people in your peripheral, right? And they're still complaining or they're unhappy or whatever. So a lot of times you just start to move away from those people eventually, just by naturally, like, you don't have as much in common, whatever. I have such a kick-ass group of people around me who are close that I'm like, how do I make it so we can all speak the same language? I know, I'll send them. So rather than me trying to go and find all this new tribe, because my tribe is beautiful, I'm like, how can I make it so we're all happier? I'll send them. And that's what I've done. So and that's it. You take care of the family first. And I've got 4 best friends that I'm sending this year. And then they're going to talk about it to their families. And then it starts to go out. And all of a sudden, we're all saying, like, listen, this is a really cool way to think about life. But that's because proximity is power, right? You can't be on the same vibration of somebody who's negative when you're feeling positive. It's really hard. Like, you can feel it when you walk into rooms sometimes. I mean, I'm an empath, so if I walk into a room and people are nervous, I will be nervous within 10 minutes, even if I'm totally calm. I was at Starbucks a few weeks back, and I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, I started to feel really jittery, and I didn't have any coffee, but I was like, what is going on? And I'm like, I bet somebody around here is feeling stressed out. But yeah, so we'll see what happens to the people who have gone in the next year. It'll be interesting.
I think I can resonate with that too, with what you're saying, because I think that's really any person, I think that they can really absorb negative energy from someone else. I think that a lot of people are just kind of blind to it, and they don't really realize it, but I think that it's totally a thing. I think there's definitely those, vampires that drain your energy too, and it's one of those things that's important to, again, maybe reaffirm is, going back to what you were saying about how you need to surround yourself with good, positive people, because if you don't, that it's going to affect you in long term, because it can affect your business, it can affect your life, it can affect a lot of other things too. And I think that it's important to have those, opportunities to, do like sort of mentorship programs like you're saying, right? Because it sort of allows you to strive for being better, right? To strive to be an improved person and to become to evolve essentially, right? So
and it's always a process. There's never any, okay, now I'm perfect. Like there's always some nugget you didn't see, a blind spot. You're like, oh, someone like a kid usually will bring that shit to your attention. You're like, oh, thank you, and then you have to keep evolving. But
so obviously with your kids, you're trying to instill a lot of that's learn stuff from what you've done before, especially what you're telling me about your daughter, how she started a cleaning company, right? And she's done other things too. Do you feel that sort of resonates with all your kids too?
100%.
Or okay.
Yeah. So I have a 9-year-old, 18, 22, and 31. The 31-year-old's my stepdaughter, but still. I say that only because people are like, oh, how'd you have a 31-year-old? And I'm like, hey, well, she's not biologically mine, but she's mine. No, 100%. Like, so Ken and I, even like before when we were together, but even now co-parenting, we're very much about, change your language, change your life. It's really important that even the 9-year-old, like I can't, and I'll be like, say what? She's like, it's a challenge. And
You know,
I'm
it's
like,
funny
yes.
because my grandfather always used to say that to me. He's like, "There's no such word."
No,
He's like, "There's no such word as you
You can say
can't."
fuck in my house, but if you say can't, you're grounded. Like, that's it. So
take note, guys.
Yes.
There's no such thing as you can't.
No, there isn't. There's, what's her name? Marie Forleo says, everything is figure-outable. And it is. And I say that to the kids. I'm like, everything is figure-outable. We just need to figure this out. So no, I think like again, since the two older girls have just gone through the process of the event, and I don't want to make it all about the event, but
of course,
that is what we've
done.
Well,
we're talking about family and passing on, that knowledge, and in the sense that that's what we're trying to do with this, right?
Right. Yep. It's and so now conflict resolution in my house it's never been terrible. Like we've always been because we've always been like, we listen to Byron Katie. She does something called The Work, and just questioning your reality, right? Like saying the word should. That's another word. Don't say that. You can't say should, because it is the way it is. It is what it is. So let's work with that instead of what we think it should be. So we have been raising them that way, to always question everything. If you're not happy, I don't want to hear about it. Change it. I mean, obviously, I'm their mom.
No, of course,
tell me what you need. But after you vented, it's like, okay, let's come up with an action plan.
Yeah.
So, and the conflict resolution, like, where I'm trying to get my family to is to be in a constant state of beauty. So never feeling stressed about even the big things. There's always a lesson in it. Like even, like the worst thing that could happen to you, like with my parents, right? Drinking. The lesson for me was, I'm not going to ever be an alcoholic, and I would not be who I am if I wasn't raised in that environment. It's that simple. But like always, I want them always. So when I pick up Amelia from school, so we do 50-50. So 1 week I'm on, 1 week I'm off. So when I pick her up from school on my week, the first thing I say is, "Hey babe, how's it going? Good. Tell me 3 things that happened that were amazing today." And she's in the habit now of telling me, and it might be like, "You gave me really good pasta for lunch today." I'm like,
but it's great, because it almost makes you like want to celebrate those little things, and it almost makes you want to look for those little like amazing moments. And it's like, if you're striving for those specific moments, it makes you want to actually go and like look for those little things, right? 100%. That are going to make your day better. And that in itself is gonna make you feel better about yourself, and it's gonna make you look forward to things as well.
And it is like, yesterday we were walking in the dog park, and I stopped and I hugged a tree, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm hugging a tree." She's like, I said, "Come and put your hand on this tree," and she did, and I said, "You can feel the energy coming from this tree." Like everything is energy. There's no disputing that.
I want to hug you right now, because my grandfather actually taught me that too, and then it's funny enough, I was reading the book, I think The Secret Life of Trees.
Okay.
And you should read it, because it's really cool. It just talks about the whole network of trees and how they support each other.
Totally.
So a tree could be cut down, but the water will get supplied from the other trees to the other, like to the nearly dead roots, right? So and then there's like other crazy things. For example, like trees will release a certain scent if they sense that bugs are eating them, or if the birds come towards them, they can chase them away with different things that they do. And it's insane.
A miraculous piece of furniture in our nature.
Exactly. And one of the things I was actually researching a while back is they said that the best ways to deal with stress is if you go into like a little forest, right? Because you're surrounded by nature. It almost takes all that negative energy away from you.
It does.
And it's crazy, because that's one of the things that my grandfather was always telling me. He's like, because I've seen him like when I was a little kid. He used to take me for walks in the morning.
Right.
Because that was his routine. He would always go outside in the nature, and it would set the day for him, right? And sometimes I'd see him hugging the trees. I'm like, "Grandfather, what are you doing? Like,
hugging a tree.
Are you feeling okay?" Like, he's like, no, come here. He's like, "Feel this tree." He's like, "You can actually absorb the energy from it,
it's true.
And it will give you like a lot of positives." And I was just like, this is weird. Like I don't know about this, right? But now like that I'm older, I've actually come to realize a lot of this other stuff. It actually resonates and it actually makes sense too. It's crazy, but
everything is energy.
It is, absolutely.
Like this table is energy. You and I are energy, and that's it. Like so that's one of the ways I tell her, "Tell me 3 things." We'd spend like I will admit I have a really hard time in winter, and this winter especially was brutal. And like yesterday and the day before, when it was 18, I'm like on cloud freaking 9. I was like, this is the best day ever. I need the sun for sure. So next year I'm going to be snowboarding
Vitamin D,
somewhere.
exactly.
Yeah, like it's crazy. And then, so I think the other way that I'm instilling these lessons in the kids is just talking. You know, like each morning I've been slacking a little bit, but each morning with the 3 older girls, I do morning message and in a text in a group chat, and I'll pick one thing to talk about. So sometimes it'll be like we do a thing called priming, which is just a way to it's an exercise. I highly recommend you do it. Maybe if we have time, you and the 3 of us will do it off camera. Nothing weird, but it's basically it's an exercise that gets you into your gratitude state, and so I say like we need to prime every single day. We don't.
Let's do it right now. Let's do it on camera.
It's a bit of time. It takes about 15 minutes.
Sure, let's do it.
Can I play? I'll play what here. Let's just. But it's the amazing thing about it though is that. It's because a lot of people have a hard time just sitting here feeling gratitude, right? Like it's hard. I can, because it's a muscle I've worked. And I can sit here and I could probably be bawling in 5 minutes. Not even, because I can think of something beautiful. But we're so caught up and looking at all the shit that's going wrong. Like we in Canada, you want to talk about Canada,
Sure.
are luckier than like 97% of the entire globe.
I believe it.
Like we have zero fucking reason to complain. Like I'm driving here in a car, coming to see you guys to do a podcast. I have zero to complain about. I had my greens. Like, it drives me, but people want to complain because they don't know how to feel gratitude. And gratitude is the way. Like, in the worst situation, you can find something to be gratitude. And when you find that gratitude, like when you practice, and priming is one of these ways, you can recall it really quick. But it's beautiful how you're seeing your grandfather that walking in nature would set his day. Priming sets our day. So, I mean, we don't have to do it.
Just give us the gist of it so our listeners
can
research it more.
Basically,
look into
what
it.
you do is you put your arms up, and I recommend doing it like, so Tony Robbins says this. I recommend doing it with the video because it just it's like guided meditation.
Sure, okay,
you put your arms up and you bring them down and your eyes are closed and you're... And you do that 30 times. So what that's doing is getting you into your body, right? It's getting you out of here, and it's getting you to feel, you're doing a bit of exercise in your seat. And the first minute or so, your eyes are closed, you put your hands on your heart, and you feel your heart beating, and you're just feeling gratitude for the heartbeat. And you walk through 3 things at any time in your life that you can feel grateful for. So, I mean, I have so many, like I can cherry pick whatever. Like it might be, you know, my daughter this morning taking the dog out for me, like, and you get lost in those moments of, and then you think I'm a Ukrainian background, so my baba, I often picture time with her in her front yard picking weeds and doing the garden and stuff. Like I can see the sunlight, I can do all. So you pick 3 things that you're really like you can feel grateful for. Then you focus for the next 3 minutes on who can you heal, whether it's clients, like, so sometimes I've got a client who I'm challenged with right now. And when I'm priming, he has no idea that I'm doing this, but I'm sitting there throwing this beam of love at him and just really focused on him feeling good about what we're doing. Because I know the reality of his situation is he's stressed out by his client. He's an SEO company. He's stressed out by his client. So I'm thinking, how can I support that? How can I heal that? So you pick 3 things that you want to really, you know, maybe it's a relationship that you have at home. Maybe it's your health. Maybe you need to figure something out within your body. And then the last 3 minutes are goals. So think of 3 things that you want accomplished. And you think of them like they're done. A lot of entrepreneurs will say, like if you notice on my phone, I have a vehicle on there that I plan on buying very soon. When I do this, it's called vision boarding. When I do this exercise, I have no idea how I'm going to pull it off. I just know I'm going to be driving that soon. I didn't know how I was going to Tony Robbins.
It's true because it's almost like an attraction, right?
It is a law. It's a law of attraction for sure.
It's like you set yourself up. For example, let's say like I want to buy this Lexus, right? And it's like you start noticing them everywhere. Like,
that's right.
Right? Yep. It's like your mind is just focused on that specific idea,
totally,
right? So,
totally. So in your priming, you do that. You think of 3 goals you want to achieve, and you think of them as if they're done. But entrepreneurs, what happens to them is they get tripped up again in the minutia and the weeds of it. Well, I don't know how to do that. I just go, I have 0 clue, and I don't give a shit. I watch The Secret, which is a movie. I've watched it a gajillion times. I watch it monthly if I'm needing to be reminded that all the shit in my life is because I'm bringing the shit into my life.
That's true.
And so but you sit there, eyes closed still, and your beautiful music is playing, but you're thinking of the 3 things that are done. That's it. There's no, I don't know how I'm getting there. They're just accomplished. And then you get up and you start your day. And it takes about 14 minutes, but holy shit, is it powerful. It is the most powerful thing I've ever learned. So part of that, like in the group chat, I'll say, okay, girls, who's primed yet? Has anyone primed? Have you done your priming? And I try to stay consistent with it. But like I said, and my coach would say, there's no try, there's just do. And I would be like, yeah, right. So I should just be doing. So when I'm done here, I'll probably be sending their morning message and be like, sorry, guys.
I totally agree on what you're saying, because I think that once you even put it on paper or signed off on it, or once you said to yourself, these are the 3 things that I'm going to accomplish today, right? You've already set the bar for yourself, and you're kind of like,
you set the intention.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah. Or tell someone else too, because you always. That's the thing about people, is it's human nature to always want to keep a good image in front of other people. So the more you tell other people about your goals, the more it kind of incentivizes you to actually go out
and there is something that happens psychologically when you say the words and when you write them. Like it's different if you're texting them. Like I write out. I have several notebooks that I have, and I write it out, because the act of writing it on paper is different than texting it.
Absolutely, 100%.
So people are like, oh no, I'm taking notes. I'm like, no, you write that shit down. Like, so my ex, he does like daily affirmations. He writes out 20 times one sentence over and over and over again. Like physically writes it out, and things shift when you do that. It's just how it is. But it's not everything is pragmatic. Like people get caught up, right? Like, well, I have to do this to-do list. Sometimes you need to just sit still and prime or meditate or whatever you need to do to get yourself into that feeling of gratitude. Because like I always say, you can't be pissed off and grateful at the same time. It's physically impossible. Try it. Like you can't be angry or sad or fearful if you're grateful. It's impossible. You can't do it. But yeah, so morning messages, but yeah, just little things like that. Like and they call, the beautiful thing about this is those chicks are calling me out now, which is so cool. Like I will come to them and I'll say like, here's my issue. And they'll like the 2 older ones, all 3 of them will jump in and be like, well, have you looked at it? Is this your blind spot? Do you really think that's where that's coming from? And the thing about being coached is you need to shut the fuck up. You need to just shut up and listen. Do not defend your position, because if you're coming at me with your heart, you mean nothing but love to me, and I'm perfectly okay with that. I may not totally agree, or may not totally execute what your ideas are, but if you're coming at me outside of your ego and inside of your heart, I am all ears. I love it, but it's beautiful watching. Even my 9-year-old will call me out on some stuff. Mommy, change your language, change your life. I'm like, dang it. It's incredible raising.
Well, it's great like because you've said that framework, and it's almost like that framework is is telling you, no, you need to stay within within.
They're holding me accountable without even realizing it. Absolutely.
Which is amazing, because it's your own kids, right, or your own friends, right? And that in itself is incredible. So
it's wicked.
Sure.
Yeah, you've been incredible. I honestly, it's funny because going back to when we started this, it's like every single person we've brought on has literally allowed us to bring out something really, really interesting. It's like we can learn from this, but at the same time, we want to share this learning too. And that's really what's inspired us to continue with this podcast and to kind of do this. And I think that you've been absolutely incredible, and and the stories that you've shared. Hey, I don't know, maybe just one last thing that I could ask you. If you can go back, in time and to you being younger, and you could send one message to yourself, what would it be? And what would be the one little piece of knowledge that you could share with yourself? Outside of everything,
I've ever been asked that on the podcast.
Because there's so many different things that you obviously have, had the opportunity with Tony Robbins stuff, right? And everything else, and with your experience and going through the hardships and everything else. I mean, there's so much, right? But at the same time, what's the one thing that always kind of sticks with you, right? That
I think
that it's always in the back of your mind. Maybe.
I think that the one piece that always comes back is you're good. You got it. Just keep pushing. Like And that's it, because it's super easy to give up. Last Christmas,
and it should be as simple as that, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and like last Christmas, I'm like, I'm going to work at Starbucks. I've had enough of this shit. I'm done. But if I was to talk to my younger self, I would. And I mean, there's a lot of cliche stuff like you're enough and you're loved and all that. And that's all goes without saying. But I think just I was told when I was younger I'm tenacious, and I was always kind of like, kind of pissy about that. And now I'm like, no, yeah, I am tenacious. Like, that's a good thing. So I would just, I would say to myself, keep going, like keep hustling, because it's okay. You're good. You got this. Just keep
You're still
going.
breathing, right? You're just still alive.
At the end of the day, like no matter what happens, it's nothing is that bad.
I think so many people are just like they're kind of half alive, right? Because
that's a perfect way to put it.
It's because they're just stuck in whatever routines that they're going about, right? And they're not really allowing themselves to challenge themselves and to go maybe even a little bit outside of their comfort zone, right? Even to push the boundary, just the touch, right? Just to see how it can be. And
nothing really. I walked on fire twice last year.
Amazing.
And if you like
fire or coals?
2,000-degree coals. They were
Holy
fire that went
jeez.
down to And that's one of the things you do at UPW. I don't want to tell anybody because everyone's like, I'm not signing up for that. No, but
I would want to do that. That sounds really cool.
It is. Like, I can say that I walked on fire, and I'm going to be doing it in July again.
You're fireproof, right?
But but nobody wants to walk on fire. This is the trick. Nobody wants, like, I didn't go in thinking, I want to walk on fire. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to have to walk on fire. Yeah. But even that, like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You might have a few blisters. Your feet aren't going to burn and fall off, and you're not going to die. And Tony says that to Oprah, actually. He said, what's the worst that's going to happen right now? Nothing. But it's getting that, building that muscle of doing the shit you don't want to do, and that is what entrepreneurship is. Like, period. It's eating the frogs. It's doing the shit you don't want to do. But like people say, like, why would you need to walk on fire? Because I didn't want to. And as soon as you know you don't want to do something, literally, entrepreneurs out there, that is when you know you need to do it. As soon as you have that little voice going, I don't really want to do that, that's when you fucking go. Period. So and then you can be a fire walker.
Amazing. You've been incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. And we'll continue to bring more people from different backgrounds, but we'd love to maybe have you back sometimes in the future. But one of the things that we're actually trying to do is to sort of give back to the guests that we've had on the show, and we're thinking of organizing maybe like a little event where we have like a DJ and some catered food, and just bring everybody that we've had on the show so far. And so I think that it'd be awesome to have you on.
I would love
to come and do that for us and to get in touch with you.
So the company is called The Content Company, so you can't mess that up. A lot of people are still like, what do you do? We're like, well, we do content. So. And Instagram is always, so there's a couple handles you can try at She's the Owner, which is I call it that because as a female, a lot of people don't think I'm the owner. And when I go to trade shows, they ask the guy about his business, and he goes, I'm not the owner, she's the owner. So my coach came up with that to call it She's the Owner.
Nice.
So,
that's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then Cara, McCarron, 1976, that's the year I was born, is the best way to connect with me for sure. But if you want to go to TheContentCompany.ca, that's the company. You can watch a video on how we got started, and
Tell us briefly about your company. So it's content creation.
So we
in
write
what sense?
content. So we basically work with primarily SEO companies, digital marketing agencies, and then enterprise. Nice. And so basically, you start an account with us and you order blog posts, website content, press releases, product descriptions. So once we get the order form, we're a full e-com site. So you go and you buy it, you get a link to the creative brief, and then you fill that out. Once we get that, the projects team will assign it to one of the 30 writers that we have. The writer writes it based on the creative brief that they got, and then it comes back to the project team for editing. So we've written somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40,000 pieces over the years.
Wow, incredible.
And every single word has been read. Like, we don't use automation for any of it, and that's why our quality is so much higher than everybody else's.
I bet. I was going to say.
It's not, I mean, like a blog post with us, it's in USD, but it's $65. Like, you can't beat that for the level of love and attention you get. So once it goes back to, goes through editing, then the team will just let you know your stuff is ready. And so what we get a lot of are like high volume SEO companies. So they'll have like 20 or 30 clients, and they're ordering for all those clients. And the whole process takes 10 business days guaranteed, and it's good. And if it's not, you ask us to fix it, which doesn't happen too often, but we will fix it for free. And that's basically how we do things.
And it's incredible because online with marketing, content is king, right?
It is.
So it's the one thing that can really make your business stand out. And I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that's one of the things that we keep reiterating on the show is that people can go onto your social media and they can read about your business and they can find out about you without you actually even knowing anything about that, right? So
and they won't call you to say, I don't like you, I'm not doing business with you. I will, because that's who I am. I'll be like, listen, let me help you. But people don't call to say, I'm not interested. They just don't become a client.
Yeah.
And people forget that, right? They're like, yeah, but wouldn't people, no one's telling you. And they'll tell you when you do a shitty job. They won't tell you when you do a good job.
And that's actually a really good point because a lot of the times people will only actually give you feedback when they've had that negative experience.
Yeah. So can I leave one more tidbit for entrepreneurs?
Yes,
so I just, and I need to get way better at this, but I just sent out a bunch of handwritten thank you, just giving extra love to my client notes. And one of my clients responded over the weekend and said, if more businesses were like this, the world would be a better place. It's a simple thing. It cost me $2.
And then that's amazing because that's one of the things that we're trying to instill as well is that you need to sort of go beyond what typical businesses do.
Fall in love with your
and actually work with them and have a relationship, develop that, right? So
100%.
And I think that it's once you have that long-term set working relationship, it's so much easier to do the little things that they would appreciate, and in turn, you appreciate it too.
And it feels good.
Exactly.
So cool. Well,
amazing.
Thanks for
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been incredible.
Very welcome.
It's been amazing.
Good.
Thanks.
Good.
Except we didn't do the interview. You didn't interview us.
Oh, just wait.
So maybe there's going to be
maybe I'll come back to interview you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
You're very
Thanks
welcome.
so much.
Bye. Bye, guys.